Hello, Latonya.
Hello, Dr. Farmer.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today.
You're very welcome.
As you know, the School of Social Work has been implementing Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework, and you should have been heard about it in your classes and also applying it in your field setting. So today, I would like for you to tell me where in the curriculum did you learn and apply Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework?
Thank you. So in the fall of 2022, I was enrolled in the most thought-provoking, amazing class, Confronting Anti-Black Racism, led by Dr. Battle. And for my student-led social action project, which entailed me incorporating the Liberatory Consciousness Framework, I decided to make a political statement and put Confronting Anti-Black Racism on a t-shirt to ignite thought-provoking conversation and also to act as a sign of solidarity.
Could you elaborate a little more about what the Liberatory Consciousness Framework is?
Yes, absolutely. Starting off with awareness, the first A. Awareness required me to understand that we do in fact live in an oppressive society which allows inequities to exist. Therefore, by putting Confronting Anti-Black Racism on a t-shirt, this recognizes the significant limitations that people who come from underrepresented and marginalized communities endure. The t-shirt represents the importance of fighting against racism, and it also holds me accountable, which will further allow me to question what behaviors or non-behaviors do I engage in that contributes to an oppressive society. The t-shirt also represents the fact that I can no longer be neutral. I have to call it out and learn, most importantly, how to effectively confront anti-Black racism.
My understanding that Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework has more than one component. You told me already about the awareness component, but I'd like for you to talk about the other components and how you were able to apply those components.
So starting with the second A, which is analysis. Analysis relates to why is this happening in society? Once I became aware, I really had to come up with a hypothesis and theory of why is this happening? So through the class discussions and readings, I learned quite a great deal regarding health disparities, affirmative action, police brutality, school to prison pipeline. And what I realized is the reason why these things are happening is due to the history of slavery in our country. So structural racism exists because it's so deep rooted and ingrained in our institutions. Speaking of, say, for instance, health disparities, the reason why health disparities exist because Black and brown people are not getting the significant resources. They have a lack of adequate health care. They're being misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. And most importantly, they're being treated differently simply because of the color of their skin. And when I think about school to prison pipeline, the reason why this occurs is because Black and brown children are not getting the adequate resources. It's the counselors or teachers that's not either diverse or they're not hearing them. They look at them as less than. So it's important to implement diversity in the school system, teachers that represent all communities, and making sure they get the adequate resources. And also when I think about affirmative action, I learned that when you have a Black sounding name, you're 4 times less likely to be called for an interview and things of that nature. And that's all stemmed from structural institutionalized racism due to slavery. We're not being heard, we're not being valued, and because of the color of our skin, they look at us as less than. So therefore, these things are manifesting from that due to the slavery and the history in our country.
Okay, so you talked about the analysis part. Could you elaborate on the other two components for me as well?
Yes, thank you. So I spoke about the first A, which is awareness, the second A, which is analysis, and now I would like to speak about action. And I had to ask myself, in regards to the Liberatory Consciousness Framework, what action can I engage in to promote equity and injustice? So in regards to creating a t-shirt on an individual level, I made a t-shirt, and the t-shirt is supposed to advertise the importance of fighting against social injustice. And what actions I really had to dig deep to ask myself, what am I doing to make a change? Yes, I created a t-shirt, which implies to action on an individual level, but I felt like I wanted to do more. So due to that, with the t-shirt really sparking some things inside of me to fight for the cause, I joined the NAACP newsletters, Black Action Network, and I recently joined the National Council of Negro Women. And I actually asked to be a part of the Social Justice Committee because I feel like I want to do more to be a part of the movement. And in regards to action, this leads me to accountability and allyship. It relates to collaborating with others within the community, family, friends, to address what is occurring. Therefore, with me starting out with creating this t-shirt, it ignited so many things in me. And I had to ask myself, and I had to ask others about their experience, because I wanted to ask them, how have you been affected by structural institutional racism? I wanted to hear their story because I wanted to be a student and of service, and I wanted to learn how to be my best ally. In addition to that, I also asked family and friends what ideas they have, because I wanted to make the t-shirt more of a bigger movement. And they suggested that maybe I have a t-shirt line. I put on water bottles, on face masks, and they came up with great ideas to help me out. And also we decided, because I'm in a process of that, when I do make it a bigger line, all the money from that, we're going to donate it to organizations that fight against social injustice.
I do get a clear understanding that you know the 4 A's of the Liberatory Consciousness Framework, and you were able to also articulate how you applied it for your social action project. You keep mentioning this t-shirt that you made. Do you happen to have that t-shirt with you, and could you show it to me at this time?
Yes, I do. Thank you for mentioning that. Here is my t-shirt. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly.
Oh, yes, I can see it clearly.
Yes, this is the t-shirt that I made. I created for my student-led social action project, and I am in a process of, manifesting it to a bigger movement as far as creating a t-shirt line.
Oh, thank you for letting me know that.
You're welcome.
Now, I mentioned earlier that students are using the Liberatory Consciousness Framework in their classwork, and they also should be using in the field placement settings. Could you tell me how you are applying the Liberatory Consciousness Framework in your field placement setting?
I'm actually going to be starting my field placement setting this September. And what I tend to do in my internship is to be very mindful of my behaviors and other behaviors that can more perpetuate living in an oppressive society. What I tend to do is, if I see something, say something, and no longer be neutral and call it out. I also intend to, if I do see that behaviors are being perpetuated in regards to driving the concept of living in an oppressive society, I intend on coming up with theories on the best way to dismantle it, whether it's speaking to the supervisor, pulling the colleague aside, and or maybe coming up with ideas to have a task force to ensure that it's no longer happening.
So you're telling me now that you were able to apply like the awareness. You say when you become aware of something, and also you plan to say something. So you said you're talking about already, you plan to take some action. How could you do those other components in the field setting? The analysis and the accountability and allyship.
Yes. So as far as the analysis, that relates to me inquiring, why is this happening in this organization? Why? I have to come up with theories and hypotheses to understand why is this happening. And that means speaking to colleagues, supervisors, or other people within the organization to really dig deep to figure out why do they feel this way, and how did they come up with certain behaviors and things to make them think that this is okay. So I really have to dig deep to speak to other people and really figure out why do they feel as though it's okay, and why are they saying and doing the things that they do. So it's more about doing the research, digging deep to figure out where is this coming from.
Okay, and now how about the accountability and allyship?
In regards to accountability and allyship, that entails me collaborating with other people, whether it's supervisors. I feel as though I can learn from other people. So it's coming up with a plan. And if that means ensuring that surveys are implemented, coming up with a task force, really collaborating with other people within the organization to see how can we come together to take action to ensure that these things no longer are perpetuated. I remember when a few months back, when as part of the curriculum meeting, you came and gave a great presentation regarding the importance of incorporating liberatory consciousness within a curriculum. Because I was so blown away by your presentation, that caused me to research you because I wanted to learn more about Dr. Farmer. With that being said, I researched you and I found a great video on YouTube through the School of Social Work where you introduced the Liberatory Consciousness Framework. I listened to your video and I learned more in depth, the background and the substance behind Liberatory Consciousness Framework. And I remember in your video, after you broke down the 4 A's, awareness, analysis, action, accountability, and allyship, you also said at the end of the video that if you want further information, I can look on a website and read the article from Dr. Barbara Love. So with that being said, I researched and I looked up on a website the article from Dr. Barbara Love, which gave me even more insight that made me more want to be a part of the movement. And it was a few things that really stood out to me, even though overall the article was great. And one thing that really stood out to me in the article, Dr. Barbara Love stated, systems do not perpetuate themselves. They are perpetuated by actions of people that act automatically on the basis of their socialization. And I thought that was so thought-provoking and powerful. So that's something that really stayed with me. So I really just wanted to thank you for doing a presentation and a curriculum meeting, doing that amazing video on YouTube through the School of Social Work, introducing the Liberatory Consciousness Framework, as well as giving extra information regarding the Dr. Barbara Love article, which is posted on the Liberatory Consciousness website through Rutgers. I just wanted to thank you for your time. It's an honor and privilege to be here.
Well, I want to thank you for your time and for telling us how you've been able to apply Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework in your coursework and telling us about how you plan to use it when you get into the field placement in the fall. And thanks for sharing your t-shirt with me as well. If someone would like to purchase your t-shirt, how could they do that?
Well, I'm in the process of collaborating with a family friend as far as a t-shirt line. I didn't realize there was so many aspects that come with that. So when I get more information about it, I will absolutely give you that information. And thank you so much for asking that and bringing that up as well. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to interview you today to talk about Dr. Barbara Love's Liberatory Consciousness Framework. You
You're
have
welcome.
a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.